talk about the Briahna Joy Gray and the Sam Seder debate, force the vote, debate on force the vote. But first, I just want to address the haters. People are still talking about force the vote as if it was like left-on-left violence. Nobody threw a punch. Nobody kicked anybody. Nobody, followed anybody home. There was absolutely no violence whatsoever. After the D.C. riots, you think they would have, be able to distinguish between something that is violence versus, shit that ain't really violence. Hey, that's not really violence, but that's real violence. Can they tell the difference? Can the haters tell the difference? The D.C. riots, you had lynch mobs, broken windows. There was a man dragged a cop all the way down. Somebody threw a fire extinguisher, hit the cop in the head, killed him. Somebody got shot in the neck. That's violence, getting shot in the neck. That's actual violence. What the fuck, man? There's 2 Colorado men that actually were in the D.C. riots. There was this guy here, he turned himself in. He said he's from Woodland Park, Colorado federal judge. It was Robert Geiswin. So 24-year-old Robert Geiswin is facing charges for assaulting a Capitol police officer. So Colorado is sending this guy, looks, white supremacist. It looks like a tattoo, right? Got the Hitler top hat, the blue eyes. It looks like a Nazi. It looks just like a Nazi. And then you had a Colorado man accused of dragging the police officer to be beaten with a flagpole at the D.C. riots. This guy was a geophysicist. The judge, Andrew Krause, had said that the 51-year-old Jeffrey Sable was a danger to the community and a flight risk. He cited evidence that showed Sable on January 6th helping drag a cop down the Capitol steps to be beaten by a mob. So yeah, Jimmy Dore goes, "Fuck you," right, in a camera out in California. But what he didn't do was take a police officer and drag him down the steps, which is what this geophysicist Jeffrey Sable did. So yeah, violence, shut the fuck up. Jesus Christ, grow the fuck up. Jesus fuck. Talk about, the biggest terrorist, all the wars, all the police brutality, and you want to sit there and say that somebody saying fuck you to a camera is violence? Yeah, you're a bunch of fucking douchebags, that's for damn sure. Okay. So that was a lot of fun. Let's jump into the Sam Seder and the Briahna Joy Gray debate. So Briahna Joy Gray is just absolutely wonderful. She's beautiful, she's stunning, she's smart, she gives a professional face to the revolution. And the revolution needs a professional face, and actually maybe Briahna Joy Gray should just take force vote and just make it her own. Briahna Joy Gray is just like Greg Giraldo. Greg Giraldo is a lawyer-turned-comedian, but Briahna Joy Gray is a lawyer-turned-progressive activist. So, what's next? I got a bunch of random notes here, so let's start out with the great moments, okay? Stop talking about Jimmy Dore. Focus on the $15 million that just lost their insurance, Sam Seder, or how about the $85 million who don't have insurance or have little to no coverage? In America, little to no coverage, $15 million lost coverage. Think about them. Think about the people, Sam Seder. That's what Briahna said to Sam. Briahna also said this: Jimmy Dore could kill 15 kids tomorrow, but Briahna Joy Gray is still in favor of force the vote. It's not about Jimmy. It's about the people that don't have health insurance. It's about people that die. 85,000. It's about 330,000 people that have died in the pandemic. It's about us not being the mature adults in the room. Every other industrialized, advanced nation has universal health care, but we don't. Instead, we have medical bankruptcies for everybody. You get a medical bankruptcy, and you get a medical bankruptcy. Everybody gets a medical bankruptcy. We also got to learn that Briahna Joy Gray's force to vote was win-win. She said either we oust Pelosi or we get Medicare for all, and I like that. I'm not sure if that's I'm not sure if that's what I thought it was, but that was Briahna Joy Gray's force to vote. That's fantastic, right? Oust Pelosi or get M4A. You don't lose. That's a win-win. That's a win-win. So overall, who won? Well, nobody wins because nobody gets Medicare for all. Nobody wins. But I think Sam Seder actually won. He had titled it Forced the Vote to Bed. And unfortunately, I was a big loudmouth for Forced the Vote. So much to my chagrin, I believe that Forced the Vote is dead in the water. Forced the Vote is dead in the water. We had one chance, one opportunity, one moment. But like Eminem, we blew it, right? We got mom's spaghetti all over ourselves. So they had titled it Putting Forced the Vote to Bed. Now, I want, let's take more leadership. I think Forced the Vote was a resounding success on many levels. We were all happy afterwards. So it was like, what did we do here? We did something. So I hope that more people take leadership, because when we could use Force the Vote a million times over. We can use Force the Vote for every single vote that we want for it. Pardon, Edward Snowden. Repeal the Patriot Act. Pass the Employee Free Choice Act. Whatever it takes. Force the Vote. We could use Force the Vote a million times, not just for Medicare for all, which I think we should have done that already. Jimmy Dore, where the fuck were you? Where the fuck were you? We had Chuck Schumer. We went ahead and coordinated that bastard king. Biden's got the inauguration, just has a flurry of executive orders. Why didn't we force that motherfucker? Force the executive action on Medicare for all or the public option. But we don't have any leaders on Forced to Vote, right? He come up with a good idea, everybody shitted on him, and now, Jimmy Dore, like, where the hell did he go? What happened to Jimmy Dore? Jimmy Dore, he's a funny newsman. He's our Jon Stewart, but he's not the leader of the revolution. Briahna Joy Gray is the leader of the revolution. So Briahna is going to challenge Sam to take some leadership. Sam, why don't you take some leadership? Because Sam Seder's position, he's actually all over the place, but ultimately he's vapid and empty, and he doesn't give a damn about others. And Jimmy Dore, doesn't go on his show, and he ignores Sam, and Sam's hurt by that. So the way I surmise Sam's position is that he was no on the ask, no on Pelosi, no on Jimmy, but yes on the tactic, but thought that the tactic was a middling tactic. You have a lot of, arrows in your quiver, a lot of arrows in your quill. You should use every tactic that you got. I don't think Sam Seder actually understands politics, how to flex power. I'll just say this is Sam Seder's main point. Sam Seder believes that if we would have shook the boat, rattled the cage, if we would have yanked on Nancy Pelosi's chain, she would have hated us and then would have, told the squad to go to hell, and she would have been. And so Sam Seder thinks that we can flex power diplomatically, we can maintain, we can build a relationship over time. So Sam Seder was very worried about completely severing that relationship. Didn't want the squad to completely sever the relationship with Pelosi. But I feel like there's a difference between, what Sam's saying and what Briahna is saying. Sam is saying, go along to get along. Sam is saying, be a boot-licking sycophant. Maybe you'll get some goddamn crumbs. And Briahna Joy Gray. Briahna Joy Gray is saying, flex, stand up. You got to enforce your power. You got to use your power. So I get Sam's perspective. Sam was also more conversational. He was a very good sport. I thought it was a good exchange of ideas. So, but, Sam's just an empty, vapid asshole. I don't see Sam pushing for concrete changes. He just said over and over again, right, Jimmy Dore. But Jimmy Dore, he loves the Boogaloo Boys or whatever. He said Medicare for all wasn't a good ask. What the fuck was a good ask? Committee chairs and shit. He said no on Pelosi, but then later on, they're going to agree on Pelosi. Both Briahna Joy Gray and Sam Seder are against Nancy Pelosi. They want to get Nancy Pelosi out. In fact, Sam Seder said a lot of things that seemed identical to, put pressure on, the squad. It's okay to primary, the people, but there's... So both Briahna Joy Gray and Sam Seder are opposed to Nancy Pelosi. They both believe that you should put pressure on our representatives. both Briahna Joy Gray and Sam Seder also believe that it doesn't matter what the people in Congress actually personally believe. Both Sam and Briahna believes that AOC and the representatives, all 535, are empty vessels that we use to get what we want. Why do they do the things that they do? We don't give a shit. Just give us what we want. Now, I thought that was ironic because Sam Seder thought that AOC is an empty vessel, right? Yet he's going to question Jimmy Dore's motives. Sam Seder also says, if you come for the queen, make sure you take her out. Now, I think this is some bullshit. Kings and queens are bullshit. We fought a fucking bloody-ass revolution for 7 years to kick the kings and the queens and the royalist bastards out. The biggest reason is not to have a king and a queen because of that hereditary succession. You're going to give it to the prince who's been raping chambermaids all his life? That makes him suitable to run the entire nation? Yeah, you saw Longshanks and you saw his son. So, yeah, William Wallace is a much greater man than the son of Longshanks. And you can tell him I said it. But I think it's so fucked up that basically if you come for the queen, make sure you take her out. She's the queen. We coordinate her. She's a totalitarian fascist, asshole bastard. She's a fuck stick, and we should just, what? We shouldn't ruffle her feathers, right? So I think it's bad politics. I think that's bullshit. You don't think there's any political implications? She's a totalitarian fascist. She's treating all the people in Congress like a bunch of kindergartners. And they're taking it. And they're taking it. But that's supposed to be a feather in her cap. That's something that we should run away from. So for both Sam, you know, why didn't you take leadership? What the fuck is Sam going to do to get us Medicare for all? I bet he don't do shit. I bet he just bitches and complains and moans and doesn't do shit. And what is Briahna Joy Gray going to do next? We can use force the vote. Briahna Joy Gray, I don't know if you can hear me or not, but force the vote can be used 1,000,000 times. So come up with a platform. I got 25 ideas, the 25 demands of a Lauren Boebert constituent. So go check that out, but ultimately, Sam Seder wins because force the vote is dead in the water. You know where the fuck were you, Jimmy Dore? Fuck you, Jimmy Dore. Fuck you. There's some violence. Uh-oh, violence. Jimmy Dore is a funny newsman. He's going to keep, you know, putting out the news and his perspective, and we need that. But I'm not for sure if he's the revolutionary that we need. Briahna Joy Gray is the revolutionary that we need. But I'm putting the pressure on all my comedians. Nikki Glaser, Bill Burr, Sarah Silverman. Remember when she put the death nail in the coffin of the Bernie presidency? Old Sarah Silverman said we were being ridiculous. Remember when she said that? 2016, and I guess in a way, I guess we were being ridiculous, huh? But that's how I roll. I put the pressure. I don't put the pressure on my representatives. I put the pressure on these jag-off comedians. Bill Burr, where the fuck were you, Bill Burr? Nikki Glaser didn't say shit about force the vote. What the hell was Nikki Glaser's problem? They got that gigantic platform. All that celebrity clout. And they use it for what? Just to make money and get rich? Bill Burr, Nikki Glaser, Sarah Silverman, why don't y'all stand for something? You know, I'm starting to begin. I'm beginning to think that these comedians are not going to do the shit that we elected them to do. We elected them to get us Medicare for all. But they're not going to do it. I want to mention that Briahna Joy Gray answered the question, do you want Kevin McCarthy to be the speaker? It's an irrelevant question, but no, of course not. Sam Seder seemed impressed, or he seemed to be shocked. What? So Sam Seder, is just on the right side because force the vote was basically just a little burp. It was basically Occupy, right? Just another Occupy, another Bernie, run for the presidency. Just something that looked like it was going to be a big thing, and then it turned out to just sort of fizzle and fade out. Sam was more conversational. He was a good sport. It was a good exchange of ideas. So, I think this good on Sam. This looks good on Sam. You're going to have all the haters go after him, but at least he participated in this conversation. I'm not sure why he did it. I guess he was friends with Virgil, Texas. I think he worked for Virgil. I think he was a part of the Majority Report or something. I don't know. But Briahna Joy Gray, you're the professional face of the revolution. Briahna Joy Gray, take force to vote wherever the hell you want to take it. You're the one that wrote the damn article. You was the one. It can be used, force to vote can be used 1,000,000 times over for Medicare for all, for repealing the Patriot Act, ending the war on drugs, deleting student debt, you name it, getting out of the Yemeni genocide. How about stopping the war with, 233,000? That's blood on America's hands. That can be done by executive order. Biden says he's already for it. Put the pressure on this bastard. Get him to do what he says he's going to do. So Briahna Joy Gray can take the torch, take the mantle. Any one of these folks, Hardlands Media and whoever. Jackson Hinkle, right? Anybody can go ahead and put force to vote. Just agree with what the next force to vote is. Get everybody on board and do it again. Bring the ruckus. Just like AOC told us. So if Briahna Joy Gray took the revolution, she's a professional, if she took it, I would do whatever Briahna Joy Gray told me to do. I would write letters. I would, make a video, do a meme and take a picture. I don't know, whatever. Go march, protest, whatever you want. So Briahna Joy Gray, she said, Sam, take some leadership, and maybe I could take leadership. We all could take some leadership in our own respective domains. But we also need to know what we can change and what we can't change, and know, the wisdom to know the difference. So, ultimately, I think maybe perhaps Briahna Joy Gray believes in the American people too much, and Sam Seder believes in the American people too little. But I thought it was a good exchange of ideas. I was actually impressed by how much common ground that it seemed like they had, even though Sam wouldn't conclude the same way. Briahna was more about, she was in debate mode, right? She was one to argue. But that was the whole point, right? It was a debate, and she was able to get him to come on the show, so that was fantastic. Told him to stop talking about Jimmy Dore, so that's, she made really good, she made really good, strong points. I'm still, Briahna Joy Gray is on the right side. The force to vote argument is a superior argument than, whatever the hell Sam Seder is saying. But, yeah, I was pretty loud about force to vote, and I'm pretty disappointed about it so far. What's next? What the fuck are we going to do with the next? It just seems like, do we not have enough Ryan Grimms? Do we not really know what the hell? Do we need, what's his face? Tom fucking, that asshole on NPR, what's his, anti-Jill Stein fucker. He said he just reads the rules and the procedures of the Senate and all this other shit. So, I guess that's something that I could work on. I could, read more about the procedures and the rules. I know the Constitution. I know the big strokes, right? How to pass a bill. You get the legislature, executive signs it, judicial says if it's unconstitutional or not. I got the big strokes. So is there anything else? They're both in favor of Medicare for all. They both thought it was a decent tactic. Basically Sam, once he said it was a good tactic, he just kept running away from it as far as he could. And he just, I don't know, I think he just kind of believes his own bullshit. He's got a bunch of yes men around there. There was that Michael Brooks. There's a Schadenfreude on the show that's just, I don't like. It's just gross. Look at him. Though I will say Dave Rubin, Larry King making Dave Rubin just, just wait. I mean, he's in the middle of the show and he's just talking. Oh, no, I can take this. No, I can take this. It's fun. For about 4 minutes in the middle of the show. Could you imagine Michael Landon taking a call in the middle of Johnny Carson show? Just, yeah, hold on. No, Johnny, it's my wife. I gotta. No, it's in the kitchen. No, you gotta grab some milk. Okay. What? But, what else is there to say? It was a good exchange of ideas, so I thought it was a good way to build a bridge, and we do need to be more diplomatic and make friends with everybody. We're, ideologically on the same side, apparently. And so if everybody on the progressive online left, including your fucking sellout, grifting sons of bitches like Sam Seder, if we all could get on board with one idea, one tactic, one, sort of, we would get it. We would get what we wanted. And that's, my thoughts about the Sam Seder and the Briahna Joy Gray debate.